When I was a child, all I wanted to be when I grew up was a peace studies student at Manchester, because they did such interesting things, and they were changing the world. They were going to keep changing the world. At Manchester, we understand that while we may be located in a small town in a rural community, that doesn't mean that that's where our education takes place. We're not limited to that. We explore, we travel, we bring people to Manchester. We're in constant engagement with our larger disciplinary fields, but then also practitioners and what people are doing in the world. In the 1930s, the General Offices of the Church of the Brethren in Elgin issued a paper, a study that recommended different fields of study to the different colleges associated with the church. Some schools were asked to emphasize home economics, others were asked to emphasize business or accounting, and Manchester was asked to consider the question of peace and peacemaking. This was very much an initiative because of the history of the Church of the Brethren as one of the historic peace churches, and the long-standing commitment that the Church of the Brethren has to nonviolence and its steadfast opposition to war. Vernon Schwalm took this quite seriously, as did other members that were in the Manchester community but also affiliated to Manchester as alumni. One of those alumni was Dan West, who was the founder of Heifer Project, now Heifer International. In 1947, in the first years of Heifer, when it was taking off, Dan would travel to Manchester to teach a course. This is the spring of 1947, called The Bases for Enduring Peace. And this course was the first peace studies course.
It was Vernon Schwalm's influence with Dan West and other faculty and community members that really pushed for a peace studies program at Manchester. And the person who started it was Gladys Muir, who at the time had been teaching at Laverne in California, another Church of the Brethren school. But Vernon Schwalm and others knew of her work there and were very impressed with her academia, and really wouldn't want anyone else to be leading the program here.
Gladys Muir was a visionary beyond my expression. What she was able to recognize in 1948 in the wake of indescribable destruction and in the birthing years of international organizations that sought to alleviate that, she was able to recognize that we couldn't develop peace studies just by looking at the level of international organizations. We had to look at what was happening in our families and our communities, looking at economic injustice, all of the factors that compel us into war, compel us into violent structures. She was able to see that and devise a program that sought to encompass all of that, all of those elements. For 23 years, this was the only place in the country where students could obtain a peace studies degree. And in the 1970s, there became a movement. More and more colleges were recognizing the need for the kind of education that peace studies can provide.
Manchester's Peace Studies Department is nationally known. It was the first one created in the country after World War II. Manchester was always known as one of the best programs, one of the oldest, one of the best programs. And as a matter of fact, the reason that I came to Manchester was because of the Peace Studies program. In Peace Studies, we really try to get students to have hands-on experience in being involved in making social change. And one of the ways we do that is to bring students to demonstrations and conferences so that they can get the feel of being part of something that is much bigger than themselves.